You're listening to The Signal Daily. Hi, I'm Shorbari, your host for The Signal Daily podcast. This is the episode for 20th June 2024. Today, for our first story, we talk about the concept of Gamoim in South Korea, where communities of friends and families are pooling in money periodically to fund various activities together. This concept is getting popular enough for some banks to provide group account offers to customers. And for our main segment, we analyze if Meta's smart sunglasses are all they're cracked up to be. Modern times call for modern concepts of savings, right? FDs and RDs are things of the past. In this era of millennials and Gen Zs, savings advice is more like avoiding doom spending and starting soft savings. But here's another pitch. Pooling in monthly savings with a community of friends or families. Not exactly a novel concept, but one that would work rather well when it comes to planning trips and night outs, right? As per a New York Times article, this concept is called Gamoim in South Korea. The report says that people often form Gamoim groups to split travel costs equally so that everyone can participate regardless of their personal budgets. Each member of a Gamoim contributes what is called club dues, an amount that is between $10 to $50 each month, and this amount is decided by the group. And as the balance increases, the members make plans on how to spend it together. I know what you're thinking. And yes, in India, there is a similar concept of microfinancing that is popular among women, which are kitty parties, where each member of a community of women contributes a fixed sum of money into a common kitty, and at the end of the month, one member takes it all home. This continues until all the women in the group have won the kitty once, and then the cycle starts again. And this is really helpful for those women who may find it difficult to have access to traditional banking systems, like a loan or a credit card, which is usually reserved for people with regularized earnings. But unlike the informal setting of kitty parties, Gamoim savings are now even being formalized in bank accounts. As per the NYT report, KakaoTalk, which is a popular messaging app with 48.46 million active users in South Korea, has a separate arm called Kakao Bank, a mobile-only bank, which now allows friends to share a bank account managed by one designated account holder. That way, everybody can keep track of the savings, and it also earns a small interest. But of course, these kinds of savings work on the basis of trust. A quick search on Reddit threw up numerous accounts of scams and frauds among certain Gamoim communities. So it is a bit of a gamble, yes. Still, I can't help but toy with the idea, for the next vacation with friends. In our second segment, we are going to bring you deep dives on stories from the world of technology, business, policy, and anything that leaves you with food for thought. I think we've discussed the invincibility of smartphones earlier on this podcast as well, but hey, it doesn't harm to indulge in repetition, does it? So, over the last few years, wherever we looked, every new technology on the horizon promised to kill the smartphone, or at least partly replace it. But the smartphone, as tech journalist David Pearce declared in his essay for The Verge, outlasted them all. I often think that smartphones don't really get their fair share of credit. The smartphone is arguably the most popular consumer device ever to exist on the planet Earth. And it is, in fact, its insane ubiquity that let tech giants engineer an unprecedented attention economy around the internet. Perhaps that's also why many argue that if AI is to indeed become the next big thing, it will first have to create a hardware for itself, which the masses won't mind carrying around with them everywhere all the time. Last year, if you recall, this one startup called Humane made a lot of noise for its AI pin that you could simply clutch on your shirt. We'd also talked about it in one of our previous episodes, wondering if it could achieve what voice assistants, the metaverse, the AI VR devices could not. That is, replace the smartphone. But now we know what happened with Humane. Leave alone killing smartphones, that pin could not even do basic stuff without going all haywire. So the current score is smartphone 1 point, Humane 0. Now, earlier this year, Apple also launched its VR headset, which is Apple Vision Pro. And at the time of the launch, Vision Pro did build momentum and was objectively not bad. But even Apple could not solve the number one problem with any kind of headset. If you're telling me that I have to go about my day with a clunky gear wrapped around my face, under no circumstances can it be as heavy as half a kilo. Again, smartphone 1, Vision Pro 0. Now, Mark Zuckerberg's Meta also had its ups and downs trying to create promising hardware for the future. For that matter, Zuck was ambitious to the hilt, selling the idea of living inside a virtual world that he called the metaverse. But let's just say that metaverse was an idea whose time still hasn't come. And honestly, I wonder if it ever will. But before we go all dunking on Zuck, let me say this. It looks like Meta might have failed the metaverse, but it may win AI devices. Do you recall the smart glasses Meta launched in collaboration with Ray-Ban a few years ago? So last year, Meta rolled out a new iteration of them with an infusion of AI, and it seems AI-powered sunglasses have caught on. In an internal memo, as The Verge reports, Meta's Chief Technology Officer Andrew Bosworth told employees, and I'm quoting him, Ray-Ban Meta glasses are a much bigger hit than we anticipated. Now, we don't have the exact sales figures, but what we do have are reviews of Meta sunglasses, and for a change, they are stellar. For instance, tech journalist Adrienne So of Wired declared Meta Ray-Ban glasses are the best face computers yet. Well, for all its trials and tribulations, Meta has indeed done something right this time, which may have led to better than expected adoption of its smart glasses. First and foremost, the smart glasses weigh only as much as the commonplace ones. I might go as far as to say that unlike all those boxy headsets developed by Meta and its competitors, the smart sunglasses are actually quite stylish, at least from the pictures. As Adrienne wrote in her review, and I'm reading it out, quote, "They make me look like a badass. By partnering with Ray-Ban, Meta has capitalized on a pre-existing fashion icon and taken a shortcut to familiarity," end quote. Well, familiarity is always good for adoption of any new tech. And from the 4-5 reviews I read this week, the AI part of the sunglasses is also solid. Early adopters have been asking the sunglasses what's the name of the tree or building that they're gawking at, and the Meta Ray smart glasses don't falter. Well, mostly they don't falter. While resting on your nose, the sunglasses also click pictures, make calls on your cue, and the most striking part, they're not only coming for smartphones, they have their eyes on earphones as well. Adrienne wrote in her review that the little speakers that sit over your ears have startlingly good audio quality. So all in all, Meta's smart sunglasses are a better device than whatever we've seen so far. And well, Meta seems to be chuffed about it too. In the same internal memo that I quoted earlier, CTO Bosworth said that they have a leading AI device on the market right now, and they are doubling down on finding a strong product market fit for wearable Meta AI. So that's the deal, and Meta is now betting big on sunglasses and by extension, wearables. In a big shakeup, Meta is restructuring its hardware division, Reality Labs. As The Verge reports, all teams working under Reality Labs will now be merged into 2 groups. One will continue working on the metaverse and headsets, and the other one will be called quote-unquote wearable organization, which will work on improving the smart glasses and developing new wearables. But you know, as the cliche goes, only time will tell if these sunglasses will indeed replace smartphones or just end up biting the dust like many others who tried before. Not an easy war, I'll tell you. If you like listening to The Signal Daily, please show some support. Rate us and review us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We'd love to hear what you have to say about this podcast. So feel free to shoot an email at hello@thesignal.co. This episode was researched, written and produced by me, Shorburi, and Anup Singhwal. Edited by Dinesh Narayanan. Mastered and mixed by Yash Hirve. You can catch this podcast every morning on Spotify, Apple, Amazon Prime Music, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. We are thesignal.co on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter.